Good morning. This is How We're Done. My name's Adam Helf, and we got a great show lined up, lots of content. So get your pen, paper, grab your coffee, and join the conversation. This is How It Done, and my name's Adam Helfman, and this is the Home Improvement Radio Show that teaches you, the homeowner, how to fix, repair, or remodel everything within the four corners of your lot. And guess what, my friends? This is not a do-it-yourself show. However, I'm not anti-do-it-yourself. I'm just here to help you as a homeowner have hassle-free home improvement. So when it's time to hire a contractor, the best contractor, we want you, the homeowner, to understand the questions to ask, the questions they don't want you to ask, and how to get home improvement done without the headaches. That's keep the simple way to do it. And on the show today, I've got a great co-host, longtime friend, 40-year veteran in the home improvement business, one of the top contractors around town. His name is Brian Lee, Metro Home Improvement. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Adam.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. I'm glad that. And we have two great guests, and this is a great mix because we have Ron Garmo and Gary Shelley from Running Right Heating and Cooling, and these guys are the experts when it comes to heating, cooling, air quality, everything around your house. And we're going to talk about spring tune-ups for your air conditioning, when it's time to turn it on, what's the right place, when do you replace your air conditioner or your furnace, and all the air quality issues when the pollen and all the allergies start coming in. And I want to say good morning to you guys. Gary and Ron, good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
How you guys doing today?
Doing well. How about you?
I can't complain. I haven't missed any meals.
Happy birthday, by the
Yeah,
way.
thank you. I just celebrated a great birthday. I'm 50-something, and I'm getting there. But hey, it's all the way it is. And if you have a question this morning, we have the text line for the Hire Done Studio, 248-927-1985. That's 248-927-1985. And give us a text. Obviously, we want to talk heating, cooling, we want to talk design, build. And if you have any other questions, throw it out there. Plus, don't forget, today is also Shout Out Saturday. So if you're a contractor, you're a homeowner, and you're looking to grow your business, you're looking to get a little shout out and have some fun this morning, text us again, 248-927-1985. We'd love to say what up to you and all that. So let's get right into things. Brian, you know, and as co-hosting today, you're now heading into the busy season for design, build, contracting, room additions, kitchens, baths, garages. What are you seeing out there right now, what homeowners are looking to do?
Well, everybody's looking to stay put based on everything that's going on in the world today. You know, there's a lot of new houses that are available on the market that just aren't selling, and people are adding on. We're doing a lot of additions, a lot of dormers. We're doing a lot of kitchens, a lot of baths, and believe it or not, garages and basement remodels.
Don't move, improve.
Absolutely. I've been saying that for 40 years.
Right. So people are pretty much staying in place. So that's what we call the staycation. Basically, put the money back into your home.
Yeah, when you think about it, you know, they're going to go spend $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 on a new house, and they got to put in sod, they got to put in landscaping, they got to put in sprinklers, they got to put a fence in, they got to put in a patio, and by the time they do all that, you know, they're in for another $100,000, maybe $150,000. You know, depending on what they do with the landscape or a pool or a fountain or a spa or whatever. So people are staying where they're at. You know, they fall in love with the neighborhood again because the kids go to school there, their friends are there, they're entrenched there. They know everywhere they're going and they're close to stuff. So, you know, they're making the decision to just stay put.
You know, it's interesting you say that way. So it's the beginning of May, and we're transitioning from spring, and it's starting to get a little bit warmer. This question's for Ron or Gary. When homeowners are looking to turn their air conditioner on for the first time, is it usually a temperature thing? When do you recommend they turn their air conditioner on?
Well, this weather for us has been to get a little slow start, but we had a few warm days. But if you catch a warm day, I usually recommend people turn it on, make sure it seems like it's working okay. The best thing is to have a technician come out and just go do a maintenance on it to check it, do a spring check for you and make sure everything's ready to go. We need some decent, 70-degree weather to be able to check it well. And we're kind of getting set up for that now because we're waiting for the weather to hit here. So we have a lot of customers that we do that for, that we contact them and come out in the spring and kind of get everything ready for the summer, make sure it's ready to go.
Okay, so if you're out there in the next 30 days, we're going to be hitting those temps. So think about it. Get on the plan to make sure that you get your air conditioning worked up, because on the startup, how many times, let's say the temperature gets to 80 and people say, oh, it's time to put the air on. And then they put their air conditioning on and it's not working. I mean, that's the flood, the wave crashes, and everyone's calling everybody, right? Is that typical what happens?
That's typical what happens. What happens is the first hot day, we'll get bombarded by calls. And basically it just people need to test it out beforehand. So you're not just waiting in line like the rest of the crowds is.
Which makes perfect sense. And so right now, are you busy with furnace tune-ups, air conditioning tune-ups, or just basic general maintenance? Or people are right now saying, I'm going to have to replace things this year before I'm going to start fresh. What's the mix?
Right. Yeah, go ahead.
We're starting to see a lot of people are looking ahead to upgrade their equipment. They don't want it to fail in the middle of the summer, so they're trying to stay ahead of it. You start getting equipment that's 20 plus years old, it's time to start thinking about replacing it with newer, more efficient equipment. And then that saves them from having to, maybe in the middle of July or August, find out your air conditioner crashed. You got to make a decision now.
Yeah,
because it's 90 degrees out.
Frustrating.
Stay ahead of it and get into it at this time of year. This is a good time of year for us to get those done before that hot weather hits. And we're doing a lot of that right now, upgrading equipment for people. Makes sense.
We're talking with Gary Shelley and Ron Garmo from Running Right Heating and Cooling. Their text line is 248-884-1704. And co-hosting this morning is Brian Lee from Metro Home Improvement. Brian, you obviously, when you do room additions and kitchens and beds, you're always including heating and cooling. Do you work with contractors?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we'll sit down with them. And if I'm adding on square footage, I go downstairs and look at the furnace. I automatically know it's not up to par, And then the other thing is I'll tell them we have to do a heat plan. We're going to have to figure out exactly what we're going to do here with the furnace and the AC, because 9 out of 10 times, either I'm yanking it out and I'm putting in a new one and running all new ductwork, or I'm leaving it in place. And for the space we're putting in, I'm running mini splits.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the mini splits later on when we talk about choosing what the best option is for a homeowner. But Brian, when you are working with a homeowner, let's say it's a room addition and the house is, I'm going to just give an example, 2,500 square foot home, and you're adding a 1,500 square feet, or you're adding 1,000 square foot addition. It comes to the point of when you do heating and cooling, is that you have the choice of another furnace, extending the trunk line, or a mini split. And this is my question, you're pricing the job for the homeowner. Do you price an option, or do you price it all in with you put your heating and cooling team on it and you price it ahead of time?
So it's kind of a loaded question, right? So 9 out of 10 times what I'll do is I will price the heating and cooling in the project and let them know, hey, this is the budget for it. If it exceeds the budget from the estimate when my HVAC contractor comes out, then we have to revisit it. However, if you're adding 1,500 square feet to a 2,500 square foot home, and it's going off the back of the home, let's say it's a rear room addition, that air conditioning unit and that furnace, the plenum, the A coil, that's not going to work. You're seriously going to have to upgrade that, because when those houses were built, the builder puts a maximum of 80,000 BTU, 88,000 BTU. It's not going to handle the required air and the volume that you're going to need for a 4,000 square foot house now.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Don't forget today's shout out Saturday, 248-927-1985. That's 248-927-1985. You're a contractor, you're a homeowner, you got a question, you want to shout out, text us. That's our text line, 248-927-1985. We would love to give you a shout out. In fact, right now, the shout out came from Chuck, the yard boy, Chuck Hammondtree from the Yard Boy Landscaping. He's the chief yard boy, and he's with Stan the man, Marky Love, and then he's got Dave the yard boy. He's the ground guy, and then we've got Mark the green machine. And I know these guys that are listening. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Literally, they'll take your property and make it look amazing. So if you want it done properly, done right, communicated well, they show up ahead of time. not on time, but ahead of time. No excuses. They work all day. They're like a clan of bees. These guys take care of business crazy. They're good. So let them know that. So don't forget 248-927-1985 if you have a question this morning, or text us. And we're going to take a quick break. We've got Brian Lee co-hosting with me this morning, and we've got Ron Garmo and Gary Shelley from Running Red Heating and Cooling. We're going to answer all your heating and cooling questions and talking about what the best furnace is, and we'll tell you when we come back. My name's Adam Helfman. This is Hire It Done on the Hire It Done Radio Network. Welcome back. This is Hire It Done. My name's Adam Helfman. We're going to continue this great conversation with Brian Lee from Metro Home Improvement. Welcome back, Brian.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it.
And Ron Garmo and Gary Shelley from Running Red Heating and Cooling. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Thank you, Adam.
So I have a question. One that came in. Customer said, I have a garage attached to my house, and it's hot in the summer and cold in the winter. How do I properly heat it? What kind of number of ductworks do I need, or vents do I need to have this done properly? What would be the best advice we could give this listener?
Number one, get some insulation in the garage attic, and or the floor would be, and just over insulate that section of the house. And if that doesn't work, then we would go with a mini split or something like that, and up in that room.
Okay.
With a garage, heating a garage, you can't tie it into the existing system for the house. It has to be a completely separate system for a garage.
It's not code, is what you mean.
Yeah, it's not code.
They won't allow
It
that.
can't be tied. You can't run ducts from the existing system. No.
So, Brian, in your career over 40 years, you've built probably thousands of garages.
Yep.
Attached, detached,
Yep.
it's a big home improvement staple back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And attached garages, putting additions above the garage, and second floors. We've done that in our history together.
Absolutely.
Quite a few.
Let's not even mention it.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on when a homeowner has this situation? What would you recommend?
So currently with the project that we have right now, what I'm doing with it. I've got my own furnace standalone and an AC unit to heat and cool the garage, because that garage is about 1,200 square feet, and they want to be able to condition the space and the above. If it's something like a storage room above, I would go with a mini split. That's the most economical, easiest, the less obtrusive thing to do. You don't have to cannibalize anything to put it in. And it makes the most sense.
Let's delve into that for a second. By the way, don't forget, it's Shout Out Saturday, 248-927-1985. Again, 248-927-1985. Text us any questions you have this morning, or if you're a contractor, Granite Creations in Farmington, shout out to you guys. I need some porcelain and some quartz. Get a hold of me. And anywhere out there, if you want to give us a shout out, we'd love to give you one. Or if you have a question, Ron or Gary, let me ask you guys a question. For what Brian just said, a mini split, define for the listener right now, what does that mean when you say mini split?
Well, we have a few options for those now. They're getting very versatile. They cover a lot of colder weather now, and it depends on what you're trying to do with it. You can do air conditioning only with those. Now you're going to be hanging a unit on the wall. It's not a window unit. You're hanging a unit on the wall, and then you'd have an outdoor unit sitting on the ground. That would be your condensing unit, just much like a conventional system for the main part of the house. But you have a lot of options for those.
Is it less money or is it more money?
When you're doing like what we call one-on-one, one outdoor, one indoor head, they're pretty economical. You start getting into multiples, they can get a little more costly if you're trying to do more than one room, because you can set those up also to where you have several different rooms done with just one outdoor unit. They tie into one outdoor unit. So
that's interesting information. So when I was doing a lot of contracting, mini splits were like just starting to come out. It's like today with tankless water heaters. They've been around for a long time, but now tankless water heaters are at the efficiency level, the price level where it makes sense to use those. So now you guys are comfortable. Mini splits are a great addition to, instead of doing a extended ductwork or not getting enough volume of air, you can do a mini split instead.
Correct.
And that's less money than a separate furnace.
What it is you're able to use no ductwork. You're just using copper pipes to get the heating, cooling where you need to get it to, and just using a head on the wall or in the ceiling or whatever it is. And it just takes less space up and stuff like that. And it's the more economical of the choices.
So do you guys see that mix of adding mini splits on a regular basis now?
We're doing a lot of that now with these additions. You might have maybe a primary suite going above a garage, maybe in a colonial style home, and then we would be putting in a mini split for that system.
Brands? Is it like Lennox, Bryant, Train? Are those like mini split brands? Because I remember Mitsubishi back in the day.
Typically, typically the name brand furnace brands are most of those are made by someone else. Mitsubishi and LG and a lot of those are the actual companies that manufacture the actual mini split systems. And you can what's nice about them, because they used to be they didn't do so well in our cold climate here, and we couldn't use them, but now they do. You can,
so they've
get
evolved.
Heat below zero now out of those units. You can be heating below zero outside and still be able to heat.
So there is the efficiencies, and it's evolved. Brian, when you're designing projects and you're working with homeowners and that, how often is a mini split working into your budget, into your scope of work?
I mean, it depends on the square footage of the addition and how old the furnace is, but usually 7 out of 10.
So, and it's easier to do that type of install.
1,000%. So easy to do. It's unreal. Like you was saying, once you hang the condenser on the wall or you put it on a pad outside and you drill a hole, run your line set through the wall, then it's just bending the pipe, running the line set where it needs to go to the head unit, and then figuring out where the placement of the head unit is going to go for maximum efficiency for heating and cooling, and away you go.
Makes sense. So Ron, I have a question for you. We're talking mini splits. We're talking you guys install them. What's the best mini split?
The best mini split is the one that is installed right.
There you go, my man.
Yeah.
You see, that's the best part of everything with Hire It Done. We're here to help you, the homeowner, find the best contractors. And by the way, you can buy the best brands. And if the brand is not installed properly, you are screwed. Okay. So it's so important to find, and this is advice that I hard press on everyone. It's the contractor. The contractor you choose can make or break the product. So the best roof, the best furnace, the best mini split, the best window is the one that's installed properly. Brian, do you agree?
100%.
And it's evolved over the years, right?
Yeah. I mean, previously it was, brand name, right?
Yeah.
Use the top brand name. Now, with the advent of the internet and the materials that are available in the marketplace, and the copying, this company gets copied, and this company has the exact same formula. It really is. It's just the one that's installed properly. And
I have a quick little side story. I was this past week, I had to pick up some toilets. Okay. And my plumber couldn't make it. Because the toilets aren't on site. I'm not coming today. It makes sense.
I've never heard that one before.
Right.
Yeah.
I said to him, when you're showing up, let me know and I'll bring the toilets. I didn't want to leave them there. They were expensive. Right. And so, long story short, I had to have someone else install them. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go get other toilets. So I went to Advanced Plumbing in Commerce. You guys use them?
Yeah.
Great guys, right?
Yes, we do.
I got to meet with Jeff Moss and his son, Josh Moss. Literally so professional. I went in there and I said, look, here's what I need. Here's what the situation is. Oh, they're like Toto, and again, Toto's a brand where you can flush 50 golf balls down, right?
Yeah.
They reinvented toilets for the years. And these guys have been the Toto distributors and really fans of Toto since the 90s or earlier. I remember as a kid working in contracting, going to see Jeff Moss and his dad, who was a great guy. And so Advanced Plumbing, the Toto, they sell a lot of brands too, but I went there and it was so easy to buy. I had to get 4 toilets. It was easy. Like, here's what we're going to do. Here's what it is. They asked me a few questions. One of the reps, Brian Glick, helped me out. And the process was so simple and it made it easy. And so, again, it comes down to the product is good, the knowledge from the people distributing it. And then I delivered those toilets to the job site. And my guy's like, oh, he looked relieved. I go, what's wrong? He goes, oh, these are easy. And he was so happy. And I got 4 toilets put in, and everyone was happy. So shout out to Advanced Plumbing and the whole Moss clan, triple sharp guys. It makes me, proud to, help with that. And that's the thing. Relationships. When you're a contractor, it's about relationships. Brian, you have relationships all over town. You buy lumber from a few places, you buy roofing from a few places, and that relationship is important, isn't it?
100%. The relationships that you establish and you nurture will pay dividends later on down the road. Like if I need something and everybody else is closed, I make a phone call. Hey, I'm stuck. No problem. We'll open up for you. We'll grab it for you. Or, hey, can you get me a delivery AM tomorrow? Hey, we're booked, but I know, that you need it really, really bad. I'm going to go ahead and squeeze you in. I mean, those relationships are they're just unbelievable. And you couldn't put a dollar value on it.
Yeah, and that makes sense, and I appreciate that, and that's great advice. So, heating and cooling, 248-927-1985. Text us this morning if you have a question. We've got Brian Lee, a 40-year veteran in the home improvement business, full-service contractor, remodeler, design build. You want it designed, you want it done right. I promise you the experience will be good. And Ron Garmo and Gary Shelley from Running Right Heating and Cooling, you guys, let's talk about furnace and air conditioning right now. What is the tipping point when a homeowner should decide to repair the furnace or repair the AC or replace? Is there a method, a formula? What is the right way to do to advise homeowners right now?
Well, the best thing you can do is just, if there's a repair that is necessary for your AC, you have to judge the age of the unit and what is it going to cost to fix. Is it sometimes better to just put that cost into a new unit, and that way you can have worry-free stuff and get a better warranty and all of that stuff. So it's a catch-22. It's just all what's in your budget also too.
It does. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's specific to the application.
Yes.
And so you guys as comfort advisors and, that professionals in the industry, when let's just say an air conditioner is 20 years old.
Yeah. 20 years is usually the lifespan of an air conditioner. So at that time, you would probably want to start thinking about replacement instead of fixing.
So what about price of the fix? What is that one piece in an air conditioner that like a bolt, it shoots the
capacitor.
Yeah, the capacitor. It seems to me like that's the, it's the capacitor that you have to replace. Is that like a pre-designed thing for heating cooling guys?
Well, I've been doing this for 50 years and I was a service tech for 35 years. And that many years ago, we hardly ever replaced capacitors. And then maybe about 15 years ago, I don't know if they just started making them weaker or whatever, but we do a lot of capacitors now. That's a main repair on a lot of air conditioners today.
Did you not watch Back to the Future?
Flux
capacitor. The flux capacitor.
That's the flux capacitor.
Yes. That's your failure point on everything now is the capacitor.
I want to blame that product and other products on the accounting. Someone in the accounting department said, why are well, these capacitors are keeping them. Let's design something that will burn out. That's not too expensive, but everyone can afford, that we can, it's like planned obsolescence.
Well, today's
TVs, yeah. I mean,
let's go down the rabbit hole. They're all sitting around the table and they're going, hey, how do we increase our service fees? They're like, we need a failure point. We need something that's going to fail.
Something has to break. Right?
That's going to put the homeowner at risk, where they can all afford it, but yet they can't afford to not get it done.
Right. You pretty much got the homeowner by the cojones, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask this, or let me just make a statement. So I can see, and this is where my conspiracy rabbit hole craziness comes in, and I'm neurotically nuts over this stuff. Accountants in a manufacturing company sitting around a table, okay?
Oh yeah.
And saying, hey guys, how can we cut costs and increase profits? And they go to their manufacturers, and one guy goes, hey, I got these capacitors we're making. We can actually go a little bit thinner, a little bit smaller, the wiring, and you won't get as long a life out of it, but it's good. and they're like, you could save, 15 cents per unit. And we're doing millions of units a year. That adds up fast and it drops right to the bottom line.
Yeah.
And then they deploy that and it goes in. And then all of a sudden someone says, hey, remember when we talked about that? Well, now these are failing at a rate of X per 100,000 or whatever. What if we did it a little bit even smaller and the failure rate up like 1-2%? No one will know. It's almost like the McDonald's shake machine, the ice cream machines. They just break and everyone's like, oh, and then you call the heating cooling guys up and you're like, oh yeah, it's the flux capacitor. It's 1,200. Or a new furnace, 5,500, or air conditioner, excuse me. And then you've got this whole situation. Now, you guys are honest, ethical contractors, right?
Correct.
If you don't manufacture, it's not your responsibility. But if someone has that and they're a plan, they have the maintenance plan with you guys.
Correct.
Walk me through that scenario. Capacitor went down. You go out there. How does that work?
Well, in a lot of situations like that, it's most capacitor repairs are not a major repair, but it may be at a point where you may want to fix it, but then it should put it in your mind from the technician's recommendation. This unit's getting a little older. You need to start thinking about replacing it rather than getting caught up, like I've said. And they may have already been the middle of July and you were without air for a day or two. Heading that next repair off. Now you might want to go ahead and spend the money to do that, but then you need to start, the technician can tell you whether you need to start thinking about a new unit at some point, coming up. Staying ahead of it before it crashes again on you.
Got a heating and cooling question? Text us 248-927-1985. We've got Brian Lee, Metro Home Improvement, in studio co-hosting with me this morning, and Gary Shelley and Ron Garmo from Running Right Heating and Cooling. We're talking when to replace your furnace or air conditioner. What are the parts that break the most of the time? And so with you guys, besides the capacitor, what other, is it a digital board, electronic board, a fan motor? What is it that breaks most of the time? Or the top three? What are the top three?
Usually it's a fan motor, contactor, and capacitor are the number one that causes on the air conditioner.
Okay, and how do you test for that, or it just breaks when it's only 80 degrees out?
That's when it only breaks when it's 80 degrees out,
right, or hotter.
Yeah,
and then in the wintertime, it's the heat exchanger.
Yeah, correctly.
So that's okay. Now, is there besides the install, like we always talk about? And by the way, it's cliche or not, but the best furnace is the one that's installed properly. We say it, we know it, it's the truth. However, you guys have certain brands that you adhere to. What makes you loyal to a brand? Is it the quality? Is it the relationship? Is it the co-op? What is the best? What makes you, Ron, decide I want to partner with X?
Well, how we partner is basically we want to go number one, quality, and the relationship, and then warranty, because all of them have basically all the same warranties, and we want to make sure that we're putting the least confrontational unit in your house that you want. We want that thing to last. Really, we only just want to do maintenance on it. We don't want it to break down on you, because when it breaks down on you, you're gonna F me up.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing, you want less headache.
Yeah.
Because I've seen, I've talked to contractors, they're like, whatever we can buy the cheapest, whatever we can make the most money on. And I'm like, what about the customer? What about, having quality, like Brian, your attitude has always been do it right, measure twice, cut once. In the long term, it costs you money to cheapen things.
Right on our stationery, right on our contracts, right on our business cards. It says it right on there, where quality and value always exceed the price.
And that's important.
And I tell people this all the time. I say, I don't want to call back. The only time I want to call back is if you invite me over for your beer or a barbecue, or you guys want to do another project on your home. I don't want to come back and fix something or repair it or replace it. I want to do it right the first time so we don't have that issue.
248-927-1985. Again, 248-927-1985. That's the text line. Shout out to Calculus Foundation Repair and Waterproofing. They're in East Point, Michigan. They do waterproofing, crack injections, helical piers, crawl space repair, foundation repair walls, all kinds of stuff like that. I've used them in the past. Good company, believe it or not. So you guys, when we're talking about relationship with heating and cooling distributors, Do you guys have multiple distributors you work with, or are you?
Well,
pretty
we
much
do have
partner-
several of them. One of my big things with it is the way this new technology is today. I always relate it to cars. Everything is going electronics, and there's a lot of new things
Plug
coming
and
out
play.
all the time. And it's hard to keep up with it today with our technicians. I mean, we do a lot of training with them, and but the other thing that's important from my aspect is when that unit might fail on you, that we have the support of the distributor that we purchased it from, because a lot of times our guys are out in the field and because this stuff is so technical today, we've got our learning curves on repairs, and we need the technical support from the distributor. And that's an important one, relationship that we need to be able to go to them if we have a major issue with a new product.
Well, that definitely makes sense. And I, again, relationships, right? Because you call the distributor and you're giving them business, and then there's a problem, you expect that they're going to help, with you to the manufacturer and say, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to send you a new board. We're going to do this and that. Or, hey, there's a reprogramming, Control Alt Delete, it's the Fetzer valve, it's the ball bearings, whatever they could
ball
say.
bearings nowadays.
Right? Okay, well, that makes sense. If you have a question this morning, we've got Ron Garmo and Gary Shelley from Running Right Heating and Cooling. They're on hireitdone.com. And if you need a contractor, always go to hireitdone.com. You'll find the best. But if you have a question this morning, text us 248-927-1985. Brian, when it comes to heating and cooling, how important does the homeowner impact the request to you when you say we're building an addition and we're putting a mini split and we're going to put a new furnace or whatever we put there? And they say, well, we have a Lennox in our house now. We want to keep Lennox, or we have Carrier, we have, Bryant. Do you try and match what they have, or based on your experience as the expert, you say, look, at my heating cooling guys, we use in this for this application. Is there any synergy there, or is it based on each job?
So first and foremost, I ask them how you got the brand installed in your house that you have currently. Did they come out here and sell you that brand? Did you read up on it? Did you do any research on it? And they'll just say, I called XYZ Heating and Cooling. They came out to my house and this is what they recommended. And then the next thing is okay, that's a recommendation that they made to you at the time that you replaced the furnace and the AC. However, currently, it's not going to work with the new addition that we're putting on because we need more volume and we need to raise the tonnage of the AC unit to make that more efficient. So it's not constantly running to cool down the house. So I'm going to bring in my guys and I'm going to let them look at what you have and make a recommendation based on the square footage and also the volume of air that you're going to need. And like I said, we're going to have to run a heat plan. Most cities now are requiring them anyway. They want a heat plan if you're adding an addition, because they want to make sure that the thermal efficiency for the furnace and the AC unit is going to be there. You're not going to put something on where the motor's going to run 24/7.
That makes sense. And so, that's important to do. 248-927-1985 is the text line. If you have a question about heating, cooling, design, build, a contractor, or anything like that, we'd love to hear from you. It's also Shout Out Saturday again. And of course, it's also Salt Sale Saturday. Beauchamp Water Treatment Solutions sells water softener salt for $6.99 a bag, 40-pound bag, Duracube, which is the best that's available out there. And of course, we want to make sure that you get the best of everything for your house. I want to switch gears for a second and talk about air quality. Did you know, everyone out there, that the air inside your house is 5 to 10 times dirtier than the outside air? And all that comes from your furnace. And we need to figure out, how do you repair air quality? Is it a high MERV rated filter? Is it HEPA? Is it a Remy Halo? Is it UV lights, or is it a combination thereof? We're going to attack that, define it, and give you the best recommendations after we take this break. And I want to let you know, keep it locked in here, my friends. So don't forget, text us 248-927-1985. My name's Adam Helfman, and this is the Hire It Done Radio Network. Welcome back. This is Hire It Done. My name's Adam Helfman. Great conversation this morning with Ron Garmo and Gary Shelley of Running Right Heating and Cooling and Brian Lee from Metro Home Improvement. We're having basically a little roundtable here talking about heating and cooling, how it applies to room additions, kitchens, baths, and other projects, and just turning your air conditioner on for the first time. What's the best furnace? What's the best air conditioner? And now we're on to air quality. I was telling everyone, The air inside your house is 5 to 10 times dirtier than the outside air. Unbelievable. Respiratory issues with children today and allergies. The doctors are now coming to the conclusion that it's from the house. VOCs, volatile organic compounds, and items like that. And by the way, it's a serious situation. So if you have kids with allergies, guess what? It could be the air in your house. So the furnace is your lungs. Am I right, Ron?
That is correct, of your house. Yeah.
So everyone has the 1-inch filter. And I always say, why are you guys not changing it monthly and this and that? And people look at me because I'll ask them, when's the last time you changed your air filter? And they kind of look at me with a blank stare. They turn their head like a dog.
They don't
sometimes.
remember. Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I thought I bought the one that lasts, whatever. Air quality. Is it important?
Very much.
What do you recommend when a homeowner has a 1-inch filter and they say to you, I want my furnace tuned up, I want my air conditioner cleaned, but I need the air quality better in my house. You come out and you inspect everything. What's the prescription, doctors, that you give the homeowner for better air quality?
Go ahead, Gary.
Start with filters and then go all the way up to the technology.
Well, we have a quite an array of filters today. We recommend at the minimum right now is the 4 to 5 inch media filters is what our minimum recommendation is today, and then you can go into electronic types too.
Well, let me stop you right there. So if you have a 1-inch filter and you just recommended a 4 to 5 inch media filter. So the difference, my friends, is your 1-inch filter is that little 1-inch slide that you slide it in, and then they take that out and they put a 4 or 5 inch, and it's easy to put in. You guys know how to cut that out and make that 5 inches.
We make it fit the ductwork. It can go into any application just about.
So you're good at knowing how to do that.
Yeah, we
and
do
so
a lot of it.
When you go from 1 inch to 4 or 5, that pleated filter, it's because of the surface area, right?
Correct.
Yes, typically they recommend once a year on those. I recommend twice a year to replace those. But the biggest part of it is the surface area. You've got much more surface area on a 4 to 5 inch wide filter than you do on that little 1 inch that you let's pull out and throw away. So,
and Brian, in your situation, when you're doing new furnaces for places like that, what do you recommend?
Same that they're telling you.
Yeah,
My guys automatically upgrade it. They do it. So if we're putting a brand new furnace in, we're obviously going to go with a larger surface area filter. Last thing we want to do is put something in that's inefficient. So it just keeps running and running and running, and it never filters the air correctly.
So when you have those filters, there's a rating system. It's MERV, right?
Yeah.
It's an acronym.
yes.
Not to call anyone out, but it's minimum efficiency recirculating value or something like that.
I think you got it right.
That sounds like it. Yes. So
Yeah.
we're stuck with the MERV part of it.
Okay, no, that's
ourselves,
okay.
but,
If you have a question, text us 248-927-1985. Don't forget it's Shout Out Saturday. I want to give a shout out to, this is from a homeowner, my boyfriend and his best friend's business, Liam's Home Improvements in Plymouth, specializing in kitchen, bathroom, flooring remodels, drywall projects, basement finishing, and other handyman work. No job is too big or small. That's cool. Thank you guys for listening to the show today. We appreciate that.
Never heard that before.
The no job's too big,
Yeah.
no job's too small.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was a good jingle back in the day.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. It was, and they're still a good company.
They're a
Believe
really
it or
good
not,
company.
yeah.
I have nothing bad to say about them at all.
Yeah, either do I. So air quality. So now we got a MERV rated filter, and then people have heard of HEPA. HEPA is like a hospital grade. The key here for everyone out there, the more efficient the filter is, you got to understand if it gets dirty and plugged, the more it's restricting the air going through your furnace, which makes your furnace blower motor work harder, which then accelerates the lifespan to break quicker. Am I making the
100% right.
right?
Yeah.
So that's why the air quality
Yes,
in the
yes.
filter is so important. So you got that, and now the ductwork and the air coming through the house is cleaner. I tell homeowners, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, leave the fan on, not auto. And the reason why I say this is because it's always circulating the air,
Correct.
and that cleans it.
Cleans it and gives you even air through the whole house. So if you're set at 70 degrees, you're probably going to have within 1 degree of each room.
Okay, and that's important.
Yeah.
So now that we're at that point, and people are like Googling air quality, and now you heard of ultraviolet lights, ozone machines, and things that go in the ductwork that are a little bit more technical, a little more scientific. You guys are leading the way. So you have a few brands. Can you tell us what you guys offer?
Well, right now we're offering the Remy Halo. What it is it's the
That was
ones
big during COVID.
yeah. What it does kill the germs in the house. It does purify your air, and basically it does the job that you needed to do for your whole house.
Is it installed in the ductwork?
Correct?
Supply? Is it?
It could be either installed in your return or your supply, whatever it would work out best. Sometimes you just can't get it in a supply area.
So if someone says I have a decent furnace and I'm happy with everything, but I want to get the Remy Halo, they can call you up and you guys can just come out and do just that.
Correct.
Do we have a price range?
Anywhere it's just if what it is you have to now put a plug on it too. Because it's an electronic device, so you're gonna probably maybe have to run the electricity for it, or if you have enough electricity at the furnace, we can actually put another plug on the furnace too. But it's all depends. But it's the price is anywhere from $750 to $1,200. $1,300.
And then that there's a bulb, ultraviolet bulb in there, right?
Correct.
That special treated bulb. What does that bulb last? A couple years?
Usually it lasts about 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at that point, you change it at that point. So what does it do? Does the air flow over the bulb? Do you guys have like
correct?
What
it is it has the ions or whatever it does. It just draws any contaminants to it. And it actually burns them off and kills them, whatever it is.
So yeah, like even pet dander,
correct.
Allergies, COVID.
Yep.
So it does all that. What about odors?
It does do some odors, but sometimes you need ozone killer for when you got big odors.
You know what I invented, don't you?
I know. I wish we could sell them.
For the last 5 years, I've been begging you, come on, back me on this. I'm the kind of guy who smells are driving me nuts. So I'm thinking, why not put scented air filter? So as the air is blowing through your air filter and cleaning it, you've got the Febreze, the lemon fresh,
Yes.
the chocolate chip cookie, the vanilla,
the pine.
yeah, the pine.
Yeah.
Why, I mean, the scented filter of the month club,
That's it.
That's the number one trick to selling a house.
right?
Real estate.
Yeah.
You bake fresh chocolate chip cookies in the oven right before people come in for the open house.
Can you imagine that?
They walk in and they get the sense of feeling at home with their family because you smell the chocolate chip cookies.
You know what's funny? They have now like candles that have the same scent. And then I heard a real estate agent once tell me they go the opposite. If they have candles and it's all that scent, they're hiding something. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, but the
It's
chocolate
like,
chip cookies,
yeah.
I've had a couple of different realtors tell me that's the ticket to selling a house.
You know what? I'm going to say this right now. Brown butter chocolate chip cookies. And I'm a badass.
Come on, don't even try it.
Dude, literally.
You're gonna have to make a batch now.
Well, now it's pizzas.
Yeah.
And then chocolate chip cookies for dessert in the pizza oven.
Oh man,
Oh, really?
I can't wait for Monday Night Football again.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're gonna
Make
be
some more dino ribs.
Yeah. Those were the best. Yeah, Brian, you gave me those. Oh my God!
I got a freezer full of them.
You weren't over for the
ribs?
beef ribs night.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a beef ribs night. I never had them so good. Ridiculous.
We
But
had
anyways,
a cow butcher.
for everyone out there,
So
hire it done.
they're
I'm a
huge.
foodie, by the way. You know how that goes. But 248-927-1985. That's the text line. It's shout out Saturday. If you're a contractor, you want to shout out, we'd love to hear from you today. We'll give you a nice little shout out. So Brian, predictions. It's 2026. In the beginning of the show, we said people are staying home, staycation. They're not moving, they're improving, and they're doing the fixing up their home. Makes sense. There's over $30 trillion in equity in houses right now. You know, last week I had Rocket Mortgage on the show, and we blew it up with, getting financing for home improvement. That was our specialty, and it was great, and the feedback was amazing. And I learned that all that equity, so people can tap into that. Brian, do you assist homeowners if they need financing?
Yeah, absolutely. We steer them to some people that we've dealt with in the past that have their finger on the pulse and they know all about the home.
So they get the
financing.
best rates, the best
Absolutely.
equity.
Yeah.
And then Ron and Gary, you guys, homeowner needs a furnace and air conditioning. Today a new furnace AC could be $15,000.
Yeah, we have financing available for all our new products. Yeah.
So all of that can get wrapped in
Yes.
and help out. So there you go, folks. If you need
And
financing,
usually there's no money down most of them too.
Yeah, there's a lot of good options that I've seen, and that works, and that's the way we should be doing it. So I'm glad that you guys assist with the homeowner to get that done. So Ron and Gary, what's the outlook for 2026 for you guys in business? Are we talking it's a big year, or it's going to be more maintenance, or is it a good mix?
Well, like we were talking about earlier with the people putting money back into the house, a lot of them now understand that their equipment's getting old. They may have thought that they were maybe going to move or something, but now they've decided to stay and do some home improvements. Typically the HVAC system is one of the things on the list that need to be upgraded. That we see a lot of that where it gets a little bit older. They don't want to have any headaches, and they just want to put it new and forget about it.
And Brian, what is your prediction for the year?
Right now we're getting busy. I mean, we had a tremendous April. You know, the first 3 months were extremely cold. You and I talked about.
It's now
people were like
it used
sitting.
to be.
Yeah, and then as soon as we got a couple little warm ups there,
the phone started exploding.
Oh, crazy!
So you're already at capacity. But you're the kind of guy who always can have. You're managing really well. So
yeah, we've got 10, 12 projects open at any one given time,
and it just keeps the machine going.
Yeah, the wheel keeps going. Yeah, absolutely. We're gearing up for a great season.
So for anyone out there who's thinking of doing some home improvement and you're thinking of getting it done, just visit hireitdone.com. We have the best contractors. And also, as we wrap things up, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. Gary Shelley, Ron Garmo, Running Right Heating Cooling. They're on hireitdone.com. Thanks for coming on today, fellas. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having us, Adam.
And Brian Lee, Metro Home Improvement, 40 years in the business. Thank you for coming on again as co-host today. I love that.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for asking me. It was my pleasure.
And for everyone out there, just visit hireitdone.com. My name's Adam Helfand. If you ever need a good contractor or advice, just visit the website, hireitdone.com, and I'm here to help you. Have an awesome morning, and thanks for tuning in. I'll see you all next week.